Good day. This is another part of our discussion in genetics. This is part 3. So we are now in non-Mendelian genetics discussing the non-allelic interaction, meaning we are dealing with two genes having two different traits. Now let's talk about novel phenotype. So these are a complete dominance of both gene pairs. So, therefore, new phenotypes are produced from this interaction between the dominants and between both homozygous recessive. Therefore, it can create four phenotypes. We have the rose, the P, the single, and another single, which is both are recessive. So, let's see. So we have also, if both of the gene are dominant, we have the R and the P are both dominant, then it will create a new phenotype, which is the walnut. So when we cross the gene or the parent, which is, when we cross the parent, which both are heterozygous, and then get the gametes. So these are the gametes when you do the FOIL method. P, dominant P, dominant R. Then we have the dominant P, recessive R. Dominant P and then, recessive P and dominant R. Then we have both P and R are recessive. So this is how you got the gametes. Now that we have these gametes, then we can cross it already. Okay. Then it will give you a genotypic ratio of 1:2:1:2:4:2:1:2:1, giving you this genotype. So this is one, giving you a both P and R homozygous dominant. That's one. And then we have here, that's 2, homozygous P and then heterozygous R. We have one here, homozygous dominant P and recessive R. Then we have one. Then we have another 2 here. So these are heterozygous P and dominant R. And we have across here, giving you a diagonal line, and both are heterozygous. Then we have the heterozygous P and recessive R, which is this. And lastly, we have here the P, recessive P and dominant R, which is 1. Then we have P, recessive P and dominant heterozygous R, which is 2. And then we have the 1. Now, how about the colors that is present here? We have the green, the blue, the orange, and the gray. So it denotes the phenotypic ratio. So meaning, in the non-allelic interaction, again, we are focusing on the phenotype or the trait. So, paano lumabas yung walnut? Okay, the phenotype walnut. It will come out if both of the genes are homozygous dominant or heterozygous, giving you this type of genotype. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, giving you a 9 walnut. And how about the 3P? No? So the 3P, here, when you look back, so the P is dominant P. Okay. So if that is dominant P, so if we have dominant P here and recessive R, then the P color or the P trait will come out. Then we have hetero P, and then we have the recessive R, and we have here P, hetero P, and recessive R, which will give you the 3P in color, or the trait. Now, let's move to the rows. So, if the P is now recessive and the dominant is R, therefore the row's phenotype will come out. And we have homozygous dominant R, hetero R, and hetero R, which will give you 3 rows. And lastly, we have the both of the P and the R are recessive, giving a phenotype of single. So this is how novel phenotype is, giving you a ratio of 9:3:3:1. Now let's move to another non-allelic interaction, which is recessive epistasis. So from the word recessive, meaning that the recessive is not expressed, right? If a mouse, so let's read, no? Complete dominance but recessive is epistatic. So therefore, the modifier gene completely nulls the effect of the other genes if it is recessive. So ibig sabihin, or sa madaling salita, if the genotype is recessive, therefore the phenotype will not come out. So hindi siya lalabas. Alright. So ganito yan. So, meron tayong tinatawag na modifier gene. Very important that you know what is the modifier gene kasi yan yung mag-indicate if you have a recessive epistasis. Pag lumabas yung trait na yun from the modifier gene, meaning that is a recessive epistasis. Now, let's have this example. So, again, both of the parent have heterozygous for the trait or heterozygous genotype, which will give you this type of gametes. Okay, so now looking at this, let's determine the phenotype from the genotype. So if both of the genes are dominant, therefore, what will be expressed? So that color agouti. So let's count. If both of the allele A and C are dominant or heterozygous, therefore agouti will come out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this one? Is this will have a phenotype of agouti? Therefore, no. Now we have this kasi both of them are recessive. Both of them are heterozygous. Then we have here heterozygous and recessive. Again, if the gene C or A is recessive, the agouti will not come out. So therefore, no. Here is also agouti, agouti, and agouti. And giving you a 9 agouti. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, how about black? So, if the gene A is recessive, automatic black will come out. So, let's check the black, okay, from the genotype. So, ito ba, will it give us a black gene phenotype? No. This one, no pa rin kasi this is heterozygous. How about this one? Again, it's a no. Ma'am, paano to? A is recessive, homozygous recessive. Is this will give us a black color? Again, no. Kasi we have the C. Now, we have A. And now, the black color will come out. So, we have 3 black. Alright? Ma'am, as I've read, gene C color expression, if gene C is expressed as dominant, meaning it is in agouti color. So, ibig sabihin po ba nun, agouti din to? No po. Dapat both of the genes are dominant. Now, let's go to the rest of the genotype. Now, if the gene C is recessive, automatic, it will have a phenotype of albino, meaning it will null the ibig sabihin ng null, tatanggalin niya yung effect nung phenotype na yon. So, ibig sabihin, if your gene C or your gene C is recessive, therefore, it will nullify the phenotype of the A, which is agouti. So, this will give us a color of albino. Also this, because C is recessive albino. Recessive C will give us a color of albino, and another recessive C will give us an albino, giving you 4 albino. So, that's recessive epistasis. So, now let's move to the dominant epistasis. So, if we have the recessive epistasis, will null the dominant phenotype. Now, in dominant epistasis, will nullify or emit the expression of your recessive gene. So, paano to? Ibig sabihin, if one of the gene is dominant, automatic, it will be expressed in its dominant color. And take note, you have to know the modifier gene, which is the gene A. Ibig sabihin, if the gene A is dominant, automatic, lalabas ang trait na white. So, let's see. So, A is dominant here, therefore it's white. A here is also dominant, A, because it's homozygous dominant. Here we have also a heterozygous, so therefore, that's a color white. Now, the phenotype will be white. Also, this one. This is this. So, no, kasi this is a recessive A. Heterozygous and heterozygous, giving us how many in all? Phenotype 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, giving us 12 white. Now, how about the remaining genotype? What will be the phenotype that it will express? So, now, if the gene A is recessive, automatic. If the gene B is dominant, this will give us a phenotype of yellow. Right? And then we have recessive A here and recessive A, which will give us also a dominant color na yellow. So, when we count this, 1, 2, 3, this will give us a 3 yellow color. And last, we have both of the genes or the allele are recessive. Now, ma'am, the A is recessive and the B is recessive. What will it express? Again, the gene A is a modifier, and we have the B here. A is not a homozygous dominant, therefore it will not nullify the phenotype or expressing of the phenotype of the gene B. Now it will have a color of green. So we have 1 green, which will give us a ratio of 12:3:1. Now, we have a complementary gene. So what is the difference of this to the dominant epistasis? The difference of this, it must be both of the genes must be dominant for the trait to be expressed. Okay? Therefore, if one of this gene is recessive, automatic, it will not give us a phenotype of other phenotype. So, let's understand this in this Punnett square. So, this is both of the gene is homozygous dominant. Therefore, it will be colored. No? The phenotype will be colored. This is also dominant. We have dominant. And again, we have a dominant. Dominant again here. So, automatic, this one will not be colored as a phenotype. Why? The D here is recessive. So, the moment the other gene will have a recessive recessive genotype, it will now express a recessive trait, which is white. This one is also a colored phenotype, colored. And when you count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. This will give us a 9 color. Now, the moment if the other gene is recessive, then it will give us a white color. White White. Now, look at this. The C here, or the gene C, is now recessive, and the D here is dominant. However, because both of the genes are not dominant, therefore, the phenotype that will be expressed is white. White, 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 white. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, we have 7 white. And then last, we have the duplicate genes. So, what's the difference naman, no, doon sa complementary gene? Dito naman, anak, kahit isa lang yung dominant na gene. Automatic, pagka-dominant yung isang gene, duplicate genes na yon. Ibig sabihin, the phenotype that will come out will be the dominant phenotype. Right? So, papansinin mo ito. A is recessive, but B here is dominant. Automatic, the trait that it will express is triangular. Another example. Paano man pagka B naman recessive like this one? So, therefore ba, ovoid ba yung kanyang trait? So, no. So, if the gene here is dominant, automatic, the trait or the dominant trait will come out, which is the triangular. Therefore, when you count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Giving you a 15 triangular. And here, because both of the genes are recessive, the A and the B, therefore, it will come out, or the phenotype that will be expressed is ovoid.